Hey guys, my name is John Dufresne. I am the owner of Kinetic Consulting. I teach around the world, and today we're gonna learn some things.
Yeah. So I have not spoken with John before this about my theories on the donut reticle, but I'm gonna walk him through. I watched your video the other night on I think it was called Vision and Shooting on your YouTube channel, Kinetic Consulting, right, on YouTube, so they can find you there. Where else can they find you?
My website, kinetic-consulting.net.
Okay.
And that's the best place to kind of get to all my stuff.
Okay. So you've got links to your Instagrams and your OnlyFans.
OnlyFans for sure.
Okay.
It's a hub.
All right. So donut reticle, you've looked through it, right?
Yeah.
So we have a 32 MOA circle.
Mm-hmm.
Looks something like this, but a little bit better of a circle, right? Mm-hmm. My thoughts on this are where I want the bullet to go becomes my front sight. Like, think Ghost Ring AR,
okay,
right? Where I want the bullet to go becomes my front sight. That's where all of my concentration is.
Yeah.
I'm focusing through the optic body, through that reticle, and
as you should,
right? And I'm able to focus through the reticle, like instead of overlaying it and like, am I focused at the dot or am I focused on the target? Okay. So pushing that focus like all the way,
okay,
right? I think there's also added benefits to it, right? Because if my dot were right there and my optic window is here, right? Mm-hmm. If I had just a dot, I have absolutely zero visual information. I mean, we can talk guillotine method and, you know, back of the slide plate, all that stuff.
Or irons.
Or irons, right? Yeah. But in terms of if I'm going to what I consider my primary aiming system, or you know, the optic is what I want. Mm-hmm. So if my dot's out of that window, I now have to transition either to irons or to using one of those other aiming methods. Whereas if I have just a piece of a circle, my brain can naturally just kind of find the center of that. Yep. So just having this much information in that window gives me accountability for where that round is about to go. Yeah. If I don't have time to refine it or anything like that. It also, I think, gives a little bit of training wheels for those that are like, you know, the hunting for the dot crowd, right? Like what they tried to do with the ACSS reticle. So that lets me know, like, obviously I have to bring it back down in this way. Mm-hmm. At long ranges, I think it's really cool too, because it just holds that center. Like when you're using ghost ring sights on an AR, like not much mental bandwidth on that rear sight.
Nah,
right?
Very little.
So I think that holds true here. I think, like, in terms of embrace the wobble, the fact that there's not the fine point of aim kind of takes that now demon off of people's shoulder, right? Where they're like, all right, here it comes, wait, next time it comes through, yep, and now, and then you get like those hits down over here. Okay. So I think it can help combat some of that as well. So I think in theory, it's great. Okay. I believe in practice, it's also great. So I guess we could let you shoot it and you tell us what you think. Yeah. You understand what I'm
So I completely get what you're saying, and I agree with a lot of that, right? Because, may I see, Mark?
Yeah.
So when you do have that circle, it does allow your eyes to not be, like you said, like eclipsing something with a dot, right? So putting a dot on top of an object that you're trying to hit. It also, like you said, gives you pretty much an open window to see what you need to see and put your eyes at the right place, which is on the target. So I actually agree with all of that. I think that's all very, very good way of looking at this, and it's correct in my eyes when it comes to, or at least on the engineering side, the way these were made was to look through them, not at them. So like solid, I think, overall presentation of that, right? And it makes sense, theoretically and also like practically, like you said.
And under the night vision, especially, I saw it as a benefit because instead of getting bloom off of that point of aim, what I'm trying to actually hit, and that bloom kind of obscuring some of it, the bloom is kind of out here.
Yeah, away from what you're looking
But
at.
I'm able to look through that bloomed circle.
Now, I mean, well, here's another kind of thought too. Like, so that works as well, and I think that makes sense. I'd have to look at it through night vision to kind of verify it. But like this concept right here inside the optic makes absolute sense, right? When it comes to trying to find it, or if people lose it, or you draw, like, you know, you're doing spontaneous things and something sparks your interest, right? And you draw that gun, you may get a bad grip or an awkward presentation or whatever, you know, no matter how many reps you get in the world. Although it could be a training issue, it's also a realistic issue. Right? So honestly, I think that's correct to an extent also. And you do have other tools, but if you did need to take a better shot, that is something that you want. The only thing that I would say that kind of falters here with the whole concept is anything that would be very, very precise, right? Like if I had to take a hostage rescue shot or a very precise shot at distance for whatever reason, like at the distance we're at, we're around the 40 yard line from the steel over there, like making a precise shot because, oh my gosh, I have to. Now, can that be trained? Absolutely. You could easily train yourself to kind of see like, oh man, the neck, the noggin, right, or whatever of a person, you know, and whatever you're trying to aim at, kind of thing. So you can encircle it, and then you know you're going to be around the point where you want. But that's the only thing I can think of that would be at fault here or a problem.
Okay.
But I would want to see it under nods because like what you're saying where it blooms, for those that don't understand this, right? Your night vision, it amplifies light, right? It amplifies all the little photons of light that go into the world and come in, and it magnifies them, or not magnifies them, sorry, it multiplies them. So then you see on a phosphor screen, which is the color of your night vision, that bloom. And that bloom can be, if it was in the center here, it would be like that. So very much obscuring a lot of stuff unless you dim it down or you turn on a light source. So if you had a light source, awesome. If the lighting environment offered it, awesome. But most of the time that'll get in the way for a lot of people, especially people with a PVS 14, because you don't have the other eye to aid in blending the image.
Right.
So very, very good one. I think like hypothetically in my head, like thinking about it, that makes sense. Like my hypothesis would be, it may actually tone that down and make passive shooting easier for a person with 1.2.
Right.
So I like that idea. I'm going to try it out tonight when it's dark enough.
You can keep it basically on your white light setting, like keep it high, and then
still work with it
and still work.
So
and then
I
you need
like
to.
that.
There's no additional adjustments you got to make.
Yeah. The only thing, like I said, the only thing would be training yourself to know where that reference point of center is.
Well, that's something that is 100% natural, right? Like our brains want symmetry. They want to find centers, right? So to me, I almost ignore the reticle, for lack of a better term, right? Like I'm letting my evolution just center that thing. Like if I want to look at the bridge of your nose, like I'm looking at the bridge of your nose, like it finds the center, you know what I mean? Like it's there. And I don't have to put any effort in, and I can keep my concentration on the bridge of your nose. The bridge of your nose is not moving, my eyes are not moving. Right. Like my hands can wobble a little bit, but it's imperceptible because I'm past that.
Well, because your focus is in the right place too. Your focus is on whatever the target is, which makes it a lot easier.
Right.
So that's cool. All right,
you want to shoot it?
I'm shooting it.
All right, so you said we're about 40 yards here.
We're about 40,
What are those C-zone steels? So go ahead, give me a couple body shots.
Let me go for that green one right there. So honestly, not bad. I should probably redo that with my ears on. Yeah. But it's not that loud actually. So, but with that,
if Clint can do it, you can do it, right?
Yeah, and I'm sitting a little bit left, looking at it right now, like where my impacts are. But it's honestly not hard to like bring it up and kind of work that. as my eyes get there. So that was me transitioning between 3 targets that are all at the same distance, right next to each other, about 2 yards apart. So that is honestly not that hard.
All right, give me a headshot on the blue one. So just focus on the head. Try and let it net.
Yeah, so minus errors in my shooting, right? I stacked 2 of them and hit one a little bit to the left there, but honestly wasn't that hard.
Right, and so we're talking 40 yard headshot. So at 50 yards, we have a 16-inch circle.
Yeah.
Right? So 16-inch circle would be maybe about this big, you know.
Yeah, about.
And at 25 yards, we're talking about a paper plate, an 8-inch circle, right? So at 25, it's just about this big. Like you kind of, it's weird, like, because you want to put it up here, so it's off center of the circle of the head, but as long as you concentrate where you want it, it's still just center of circle.
I just thought of something else that this would be beneficial for, right?
Okay.
Most people that are out there, including myself, have astigmatism.
Okay.
Right? We have imperfections on the eye that cause light to come in and do some funny reflecting and refracting and what most people see is like a starburst or something, right? My astigmatism looks like this, right? When I look at a dot, I see kind of like a Mickey Mouse ear and then a retarded Mickey Mouse ear. And that's what I have to deal with, right?
So you run an acro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like usually acros.
So your acro looks like that to you? Okay.
So now with the circle, what that does for you, right? And even with those little hashies, and that's a pretty damn good circle, by the way. You got that on camera? Yeah. Hell yeah. But with the circle, I don't see any kind of like weird humps or anything. Now, it may be different for other people, right? Like everybody's eyes are a little bit different. So your eyes may, like, or somebody else's eyes may be like, it may look like 7 rings or something, like you see the Olympics logo. But
I think if they were trying to focus on the reticle, they may get that.
It would make it bigger,
But I know Brian Keeney from Occam Defense has explained to me that he has a really bad astigmatism as well, and he'll run a ghost ring behind his red dot, and because he has to focus through an aperture, it actually cleans up his red dot.
Well, you know why, right?
No.
So check this out. So let's see if there's anything we can wipe this off with.
Yeah.
So the way it works, right? When you're looking through just that open optic, right, and light is coming in, we see light, and light enters through that optic into our eyes, right, and gives us a weird distance that we're looking at, right, a focal point. Well, when you minimize that focal point, right, not only are you letting in less light, so there's less light for it to refract and cause astigmatism, but you're also making the actual focus that you're having become a little bit elongated, right, which cleans things up. But because of less light, you're not getting, like, let's say this is your astigmatism, right, and it looks like a big comma or something, right? When it gets less light, you may see this, right, dot, because that's some center point where the actual focus light is, and then you may get like a little one that's less perceptible and stuff like that, just by closing up an aperture or looking through an aperture like that. Like people with bad eyesight, like with glasses, if you look through something small or squint your eye, your eyesight gets cleaner, and it's because you're letting in less light that will affect, and also and just minimizing that little aperture, like you said. So it's the same way night vision works with focus caps. It's kind of cool.
Okay.
It's a crossing of the technology, or not technology, but the concept.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, see the way in one thing, see it in all things, right?
Yeah. I mean,
you want to get closer and see what you think about it. Because out here, the circle is definitely way bigger than the head. Or it's at least bigger than the head.
But it's a good place to, like, I think it gives you an opportunity to test it out, because like that was my apprehension, right?
Right.
My first thing I thought of was, man, if I gotta do very tight shots or very accurate shots for like hostage rescue or anything that would be specific, and that's 40 yards I just hit ahead a few times.
Yeah,
right? With no practice.
Yeah,
with no practice with it. So yeah, let me get closer. Let me try this thing.
Okay, grab a couple mags. I'll put in these.
Little itty bitty mags. All right, let's try this thing out. You guys got ears? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not bad, man. Ooh, that magnet got stuck here. That's pretty solid, actually. I like it. Yeah, it's not a bad concept, man. I like the little dot, or the little circle. Honestly, that makes more sense than I've ever given it, like the attention.
Okay.
Right? I don't give it enough attention on the grand scheme of things because I'm like, man, I'm used to just a dot.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Like I may actually play around with one more.
Yeah, dude, keep shooting.
So,
I'll try and I don't know if I could load mags as fast as you can shoot them, but
I mean, you could try. Do your bestest.
my splits aren't that great.
And that's going through the 3 targets, like transitioning between the green, blue, red, blue, green, blue, red. Like it's actually not very hard to shoot, man. That's kind of cool.
Do you think it would help newer shooters come into the dot as well? So like you're not having trouble finding dot when you present a gun,
No,
right?
no, not at all. And that comes with time,
Right.
like anything else.
Yeah.
But I think it would help new shooters in the way that like new shooters pay attention to that little center dot and they stare at it. It blooms. They're not focused on the target. They lose the overall intentions or reasoning why the dot was created, right? And it makes it harder for them to find it because they're trying to find it here, not find it there.
Yes.
Right, on target. So they lose that, and when they lose that, now it's like, well, if you can't find it over there, you start hunting for it here, the bigger circle is definitely going to draw you in more, especially if it's a minor mistake with your draw or your presentation with the gun. So I honestly think that's actually pretty cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So from here, right? And I had only half a circle for it too. Okay. So I had only the top half of the circle when I was trying to go fast, and I dipped down. All I had was the bottom. And what's kind of cool too is like, it's not obscured by like smaller objects. So if your sight was in the rear, it ain't gonna get obscured because you still see the top of it. All right, and that's one of the reasons why putting your rear sights in front are pretty beneficial. So not bad, man. It really offers, I think quite a few different things that I never thought of, and I kind of like that. It makes me think about what if I shot with it more often? How much better can I get with that? You know what I mean? And get comfortable with not seeing a little dot in the middle too.
Something that happened with me is I kept having light bulb moments with it. Like the first time I tried it, I was like, oh, it's doable.
Yeah.
And then I got to the point where I was like, oh, it's got this benefit.
Yeah.
And then once I really kind of got in the zen where people were asking me like, well, when you're shooting, do you lose the whole circle or do you still have the bottom half of it in the window? And when I started answering like, I don't know, because I'm not
paying attention to
I'm not paying attention to the reticle. Yeah. I know where I want the next bullet to go.
Yeah.
And it gets there.
Now, when you zero, are you zeroing it on something that like another circle so that it shows up the same way? Or?
So, sometimes it's weird when I'm zeroing because of that level of concentration. I have a hard time not focusing. Or like if you're trying to line up the edges of that circle with the edges of another circle, like I'd rather just a dot, like a pasty, like put that on there so I can just put it in the center because my brain will naturally center it. If like you walk back on a B8 to the point where like that's the exact same size as the black, now you're trying to concentrate on the edges and you're losing your focus on that X-ray. You know?
I can see that.
Like, where like almost embrace the wobble. So if you're trying to line the edges up, now you're back to kind of fine point aiming.
Yeah, so almost putting like the small little pasty in the middle right, of what you're looking at. Mm-hmm. I could see that. That makes sense.
That, and I like zeroing with crosses, like a crosshair. So I'll take a string of duct tape. So got like a 2-inch strip, 2-inch strip, and then that center piece is in the center of my circle.
Little plus sign in the circle. That's cool. Yeah. Dude, honestly, not bad, man. I like it. I like your explanation on it. All your like I said, everything you said makes absolute sense, and it's not outside the realm of somebody being able to try and go for it unless they really just don't want to use it. You know what I mean?
Try it on the move.
Yeah.
Because I think it really shines there, because that's where a lot of people have a hard time embracing the wobble.
Yeah. So let me try and give this thing a go. While walking, like you could see, like it does bounce around a little bit different. It caught my eye really quick, only because I'm not used to it, I think. But after I got a handle on it, I was like, look at the damn green target, not the dang green thingy. It made it a little bit easier. The other thing too is, like, I'm used to red, so looking at green is distracting a little bit for me. But
and
it's
I can't tell the difference.
Yeah, it ain't no big deal. But it's kind of cool. Let me get through a couple more.
Yeah. And it looks like we got a target over there. But
once I get past that little distraction, which is probably just because I don't use it, it gets really easy.
Yeah.
And all those were like right there, high center chest, if you want to call it that, on the steel. So I like it, man. That's honestly not bad, man.
Cool.
Good explanation on it.
Thank you. Thank you for giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a very open-minded dude, so like just trying something new doesn't scare me like it scares some people, and even failing with something new is fun for me. So it gives me an opportunity to learn. So why not? For you, it's hot now. It's a little toasty, but yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. Tell everybody where they can find you again.
Yeah, guys, if you want to get to know me or know more about me, kinetic-consulting.net. I got all my links to social media and all my class schedule stuff on there.
All right, guys, go check them out. I'm looking forward to taking your class tomorrow night.
Hell yeah.
So remember, your responsibility to be ready for the fight never ends.